her.
Well, let me ask you about where Trump is right now. I mean, we had this extraordinary event this week. John Kelly, who, of course,
I heard that.
was his Secretary of Homeland Security, his chief of staff, longest-serving chief of staff, saying that he's a textbook definition of a fascist, that he wants to be a dictator, and he said a lot more than that.
He has, and he lost his son in Iraq, General Kelly. I know him. I've had a good relationship with him, but he's undermining a concept that's been good for America, I think. Our generals have sort of been apolitical. He's entitled to his opinion. I just categorically reject it. 3 weeks before the election, you're calling basically Trump Hitler, a fascist, is not going to resonate. What happened to joy on the Democratic side? They went from joy to now Trump is Hitler. That's desperation. As to General Kelly, I would say that the state of Israel, Donald Trump is the most popular politician from the West because he stood by the state of Israel. Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews. President Trump has been a friend of Israel unlike any other. So no wars on his watch. The border was secure. Inflation was down. Mortgage rates were below 3% when President Trump was president. Now they've over doubled. I think General Kelly's criticisms are not based on facts. I think it's emotional. It's sad, and it's not going to matter.
But, well, first of all, obviously, Kelly's not alone in saying that. We heard General Milley, who Donald Trump made the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, saying he's fascist to the core. And it's not, so let's put aside the word fascist for a second. Kelly also said that Donald Trump disparaged those American heroes who died for our country as losers.
So here's
and it wasn't, he's not saying he's Hitler, but that he repeatedly said Hitler did good things.
So here's what I would say to America.
I mean, did he make it up? I mean, I'm asking him. I mean, you know Kelly. I mean,
President Trump denied that he said that, but let's look at the record rather than the rhetoric. Nobody rebuilt the military stronger than Donald Trump, except maybe Ronald Reagan. Nobody, I've seen him. Listen, I've had a lot of interaction with him, so I categorically reject the idea that he has anything but admiration for those who serve and sacrifice. I have seen him interact with the military. So this idea he's hostile to those who serve is not borne out. When he was president, America was strong. The military had what they needed. We went after our enemies. People were afraid of America. Since Biden-Harris has been since they've been in charge, everything's gone to crap. It's all broken. We had a secure border. Now it's broken. We had no wars. Now the whole world's on fire. Mortgage rates have doubled. We're on the wrong track. With all due respect to these generals, America is ready to move differently, and Donald Trump is the best hope to put out the fires in the world, to end the war in Ukraine, to bring about peace in the Mideast, to restore a broken border and get the economy humming. He did it once. He can do it again. She had a chance. She failed.
But again, it's not just generals. I mean, it's Kelly, Chief of Staff, Mattis, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Jim Mattis, obviously another four-star, who was chosen to be the Secretary of Defense. This is not a minor position. And he said this of Donald Trump: his use of the presidency to destroy trust in our election and to poison our respect for fellow citizens has been enabled by pseudo-political leaders whose names will live in infamy as profiles in cowardice. Now, General Mattis, Secretary Mattis, is somebody you called a role model for the concept of duty, honor, and country. Can you really dismiss?
Now he's weighed in politically. He has every right to his opinion. But to General Mattis, I think you're rewriting history here because for some reason, I don't know what that reason is, you're not going to be able to change what President Trump did. He killed Soleimani. He put Iran in a box. He put Israel in the strongest position they've been in. He rebuilt our military. Russia didn't invade Ukraine. The border was the most secure in the last 40 years. Inflation was down. Mortgage rates were half of where they are today. He did all of that. He did that. He was a strong leader on the things that matter the most. Whether you like him or not, that's up to you. He's not a fascist. He's not Hitler. And that shows you how desperate this campaign is. You got 3 retired generals who've been out of the game for a while, 3 weeks before the election, trying to replace joy with fear. And let me say one thing to these generals. I admire you. I respect you. But for 20 years, you were given, and others, billions of dollars to train the Iraqi and the Afghan army, and they folded like a cheap suit. How about a little self-reflection about the job you did before you criticize others?
I mean, I could go through all the good things you've said about all three of those. Men. And look, Donald Trump.
That was before they weighed in and turned America upside down. Donald Trump using rhetoric that's dangerous and is off base. So they decided to do this. You're the ones that want to weigh in. Okay, if you want to call him Hitler.
They didn't call him Hitler.
Well,
what they did is they warned
they're trying to scare
of what
Americans that this man can't fix the problems we need fixed. I reject that. I was there, too. I was around him. I don't think he's a fascist. I thought he was a very strong president at a time we needed a strong president. I think he will be a strong president to get this country back on track, to revive our economy, to secure our border, and put out fires. They're telling you they want 4 more years of Kamala Harris and 4 more years of the same policy. To these generals, you're trying to tell America that things are good now. They're terrible now. And if she's elected based on your advice, everything goes to hell at home and abroad. So reject their advice.
Now you have been very